But they see you as, if you say you're a common person, they say, well, but you're part of the current governor, so how come you're a common person? Instead, they think that you chip up the block of the current government.
No, I wouldn't deny the government because I've been part of it. I take the credits where they come. I also take those who want to criticize. I'm also part of it. But not to say that I'm necessarily imagined because I'm favored by anybody. No, but I'm also humble enough to say that if I need endorsement, I'll go for it. I'll ask for endorsement. I'll beg people to. That is what politics is all about. Today, we're asking people to please endorse us. We go to churches, we go to groups, we talk to people. Please endorse us. So anybody who feels is so big, so huge, and he doesn't want endorsement.
Well, before my next question, I need to correct something here. Mr. Okezie, that is from JD. He says, Mr. Okezie just lost my vote. How can he call his people pathetic? You said apathetic, right? Mm-hmm. Was it apathetic, you said, or pathetic?
No, apathetic.
Good. No. So I think he needs to get that, because I think that was
apathetic. That yes, people are a little bit withdrawn.
Yes, okay. That's what I also got. But again, going forward, what has been the message to your people, especially because this non-violence talk is very, very key? Because when it does happen, we always have denials. Till this moment, especially what happened in Port Harcourt, that almost, well, you know, loads and loads of people were almost killed, including one of China's very best, is that, well, you hear investigation is on and nothing is done. Right. It would seem that that is the business of the day. Politicians can, well, off the cuff, ask someone to attack anyone, it could be me or you, because they know that nothing will come out of it. So what's the business of politics in Abia, to the extent that if anyone is, because now we're talking from hindsight of your party being in charge, that that person will be brought to justice?
I think the issue is not the legal framework. A lot has been done and more is being done to make sure that those who participate or take part in electoral violence are made to account. It's a very unfortunate thing. But it goes beyond the physical injury. For instance, I come from a local government that has 14 border communities. And because these border communities are usually in conflict because of farmlands and things over the years, you have some youth who are a little more aggressive than the ordinary person from city center. What my opponents have chosen to do, to go and rally around those boys, and on Wednesday this week, they are planning a campaign there. And it is a campaign of it, because those boys, some of them are very dexterous in the use of arms. You know, I told you I've been around Abia State for some time. I know the effort that this present government made to control kidnapping and violent crime. So what they are maybe playing with the tail of a tiger, because if you ignite them, at the end of the day, you will not be able to demobilize them, whether you win or you lose.
Why are you running for governor?
Well, I am running for governor because I've taken time to study what has been done in Abia State and what needs to be done. You know, a lot of people like to complain about deficit in infrastructure here and there. I don't talk about it because everywhere you go, even in New York, there is deficit of infrastructure, but maybe to a lesser extent. I also want to say that somebody came here earlier and said, oh, a few things have been done in Umuahia. And that is why Aba is probably a case in point or an issue in this election. The gap is not infrastructure. It is for us to redefine our economic focus, so that the infrastructure we are going to put in place tomorrow will be towards an economic agenda. We want to run a private sector-led economy in Abia State tomorrow. We want to leverage the things that are on ground to drive our state faster. Today there's an e-library, and we are thinking about e-commerce. Because, you see, I don't like to see Abia as an oil-producing state. We are marginally so. And if we continue to lay emphasis on oil, it means we won't go far.
But isn't that where your rival will better you? Because if you're saying that you want a state that will be run by the private sector in future, and he has the credentials from the private sector, wouldn't people just generally think he'll be the best man for the job?
No, he doesn't have the pedigree of dealing with people at the scale I've dealt with them. I've created over 2,000 jobs for Abians. Today, if you want to run an election, especially in my state, you must tell us what you have done before. Not necessarily about what you will do, because if you don't do it, what happens? How do we know you will do it?
I understand you said you will create 50,000 jobs. Is it in 2 months or in 2 years? How do you plan to do that?
Well, we will create 50,000 jobs in Abia State during my time. And the way to do it is to...
And how long?
How long? Yeah.
Oh, well, you see, I like to look at big pictures. I like to look at Abia, 8 years, 4 years. I don't like to say 3 months.
Dr. Ikpeazu, unemployment is a big issue. So if you say that you're going to create jobs, people want to know how long are you looking at?
In the first 4 years.
In the first 4 years?
Yes.
So it wasn't 2 years or 2 months that you promised?
No, 2 months. How can it be 2 months?
Okay.
So it's 4 years.
Yes, but from day one, everybody will see the direction in which I'm going. Because we're going to look at, Abia is naturally strong in trade and commerce. We're also good in small and medium-scale enterprises. We are the best in garments.
So why do you think Abia was abandoned? Because you also seem to concur that there was not a lot of attention paid to that city.
No, Abia was not abandoned. Abia was not abandoned.
It was put on the back burner.
Well, but you must start from somewhere.
It was not as prioritized as Umuahia was it?
Umuahia, Abia is not synonymous with Abia. Umuahia is the state capital. And before now, the governor of Abia State was living in a rented apartment. Are you saying that it would have been proper for us to continue as if nothing is wrong and the governor will continue to pay rent? Workers were working from under the tree.
You can't have been doing that for 8 years.
No. I just mentioned 2 things. I'm not talking about the 740 health centers in various communities. But we are saying that Abia can drive better, given the focus of my team, if Abia is redeveloped. For instance, you can't talk about trade and commerce if the roads are not, as good as we want them to be. There are 3 major access ways into Abia, and we intend to create 5 instead of 3. We also intend to do a ring road around Abia so that the city will begin to expand naturally in a planned fashion. But most importantly, we are talking about industrial clusters, in leather works, in garments, because we are going to have a regular power supply from geometrics in the next 1 year or so.
For the whole state of Abia?
No, with concentration in Abia. And if the light comes, we must be able to prepare ourselves to leverage that advantage for the growth of the state. As I speak, there's a big mall that has come up in Abia now. They are doing that mall. And there's a dry port conceptualized by this government. So what we are thinking about is to bring that dry port and link it with railway, because Abia has 5 cities that are connected by rail. No other city around the southeast has that complement of rail. And the rail has come back. We saw rail trade in Abia.
Well, I think that's a nice development. But again, I always like to look at things pragmatically and see how we can develop some of these issues. If you say you will be able to create jobs, I've been around this country, and sometimes when politicians tell us that they will create this amount of job, what I say is vagueness. That's me speaking now, because it's either someone is distributing generators, keke napep, or even motorcycles that sometimes they go ahead to also ban, and sometimes they give handouts. So when we say we want to create jobs, maybe you can help me by bringing me out of my dark room. Tell me how politicians create jobs when they say create jobs, away from those things I have just said I normally see.
Okay. We are going to lay emphasis on agriculture. And the model of agriculture we're thinking about is integrated agriculture. Because we don't have huge land holdings. Abia is a densely populated place. You may not have somebody having beyond a football field, for instance, for farming. So our option is integrated farming. And integrated farming what it does is that you have your piggery and your gardens there. you know, and everything is interconnected. Nothing is wasted, as it were. And we are going to make it attractive for young people because there's going to be a marketing board. This marketing board will be designed to buy off excesses from the farms. Because the attraction towards agriculture should not be a push. It should be a pull from the top. Because if you buy off and stabilize the prices of farm produce, and then do something about recycling, or do some, not recycling, something about, you know, value chain, turning maize, for instance, to feed, you know, and then using the feed for agriculture, for poultry, then you would have stabilized the economy of the primary farmer. If you don't do that, nobody will go into farming.
I know we're out of time here. Would you love to have a debate? Because the way you expatiate on this particular one, would you love to have a debate with your opponent?
I'm not afraid of debate.
And just in 5 seconds, if you can, could you just a quick look at that camera and tell your supporters no violence, even in the face of provocation?
Well, you guys know me. You know that I'm not a violent person, and I know that it's not good to fight in the kitchen because it's a lose-lose option for you if you fight in the kitchen. There's no need for violence. God is with us in this race, and we'll win, and we don't need violence to win.
Thank you. The kitchen struck me when you said Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu is the governorship candidate of the PDP in Abia State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Welcome.
We'll be back after the break. Join us again.